Spirit, help us dream of a world. Well, hi, this is Brian Sergio from the Just and Generous Worship Music Podcast, and I have an amazing guest to interview today. Let me just say, well, it's Heidi Wilson. Heidi Wilson is a songwriter. You probably have heard a song that she has written because it has played a huge role in the singing resistance movement in Minneapolis just recently, and we're going to talk about that song. But when I was listening and then trying to find out who wrote this wonderful song, and I looked up the composer, was Heidi Wilson, and lo and behold, to make a long story short, I have known Heidi since she was a little kid. We actually both lived in Madison. I still do, Madison, Wisconsin, and went to the same church for many, many years, and her family and my family were friends. And so I had that connection, and I tracked Heidi down and said, I don't know if you remember me or not, but she did, and I said, I would love to catch up with you. And Heidi, tell everybody, I have to own this. You know, what song of mine you remember me for?
Brian's like, do you remember me? And I was like, yeah, it's like bugs for lunch. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
That's it.
This is like, I think I knew this.
Yes, I said, self-servingly, I said, okay, you have to tell everybody that. You may wind up being world famous, but I'm the Bugs for Lunch guy. Just remember that, okay? And for those of you who know nothing about Bugs for Lunch, it's a children's song. It's actually on the CMP website, I believe, and that's another podcast. But anyway, I was delighted to hear that Heidi remembered me for something and that she was willing to talk. So Heidi, I am just delighted to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. And will you introduce yourself just a little bit? Tell folks what you do right now. Obviously, they know you're a songwriter. Dive in and tell them anything you want them to know. And then I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this particular song that we're talking about.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I'm Heidi, and I live in central Vermont. I've been here for about 20 years, and I mostly spend my days doing community singing. I have a couple different intergenerational choirs that I run, and then random gigs, like I was teaching a workshop at a high school yesterday, and I also sing with some homeschool families and do lots of seasonal celebrations, summer camps, and so my great love is to get all kinds of folks singing together to mark the big important moments in life and the little ones that are always happening inside of us, and to, through singing, remember that we're part of something bigger.
Yeah, so fantastic.
That's the nutshell.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, tell everybody the name of the song that I'm alluding to. And as I said, many of you have probably heard it. And tell us a little bit about that song and when you wrote it and how you wrote it and why. I personally don't know anything, so I'm just hearing this story for the first time myself.
Yeah. So the song is Hold On, and it came to me about 6 years ago, January 2020. It's actually a really tender story. It's a teen, Finn Rooney, who lived in Walden, Vermont, a couple towns over from me. He committed suicide, and it really rocked the small town. And a parent in the high school said, we need to have a gathering that weekend after he killed himself to circle up, bring people together, circle up around his family, his mom, and just find a way to be together before all these kids have to go back into that high school. And Finn was like a really special, magical guy. And so we had this fire, and everybody circled up around there, and my friend Tom was like, Heidi, will you bring a song? And I was like, sure, okay. What's it going to be? And I was like, this song has a big lift. It needs to like bring people together who are from, people say Vermont doesn't have a lot of diversity, but has a lot of economic and cultural diversity. And I was like, okay, this has got to be a song that's going to pull people together who don't really want to sing, probably. And so I put up the song antenna, and I listened hard, and this is the song that came through.
Wow.
And we had a big circle out. It was a cold, windy day, and around this fire, and it was my turn to lead, and I said, can we come closer so we can hear each other? And I felt like because we were singing a song and we had to get closer, people did so. And they like shuffled a little bit closer, and then I was like, could we get even closer? And then we got even closer until we were like shoulder to shoulder singing this song. And I actually just got off the phone with Finn's mom, Tara, to ask her. I said, lots of people are singing this song now that came through to like hold your family and hold your community. And how do you feel about that? And she was like, oh, of course that's happening. Finn is like still working his magic. And
gives me goosebumps. Yeah.
And I said, should I leave it vague? Should I say his name? And she was like, oh, say his name. So this was a song that first was for Finn Rooney's family, and there's a beautiful radio story about the community after he died, and this bell that he'd been trying to get back to the high school called Finn and the Bell. If anybody wants to look that one up, it's a really beautiful story. So anyway, we sang that song, and it felt like it started to work its magic in that community, and then it's had some other times where it's been put to use, and then now it just like has a lot of work to do, and it feels like it's just running around the world. So that's the story of where it comes from.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were going to tell the story you just told, and I'm right on the edge of tears. Seriously, that's very moving and very powerful, and makes the song that much more meaningful to me. So thank you so much. I'm sure that will mean a lot to a lot of people, and maybe Finn's family too. Well, for those who haven't heard the song, I want them to hear it now. You and I haven't talked about this. I mean, you can sing it if you feel like it, but you could just tell us what the words are, and then I can also find video or audio of it to splice into this interview later. But would you at least tell us what the words are? And if you feel like singing it, you're welcome to, but don't feel put on the spot.
Sure. Yeah. I have a little cold. I'll do my best. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn.
So beautiful. Thank you for being willing to do what you just did. That is a powerful song, and it's so simple. I wonder, do you have any sense yourself why that song has gotten the traction that it has? What is it about it that has the power to bring people together in the way that it does?
I feel like it is an invitation towards hope. It is simple. I feel like it stands on the shoulders of lots of songs that have come before it that are songs of hope. And I feel like each song that comes through an individual person is coming through them, but, the instrument that is me has steeped in all kinds of music. And so, I've steeped in spirituals, and I've steeped in folk music from different cultures, and so it's not just mine. And so whatever magic came before me is also part of that. I think I think about songs as spells, and I feel like there is both the musicality of this spell, there's the words of the spell, but then there's also just the sound. And I think like a long O and a long ah, those are some good vowels to be singing, and they let some of that magic come through. So I think it's maybe all of those things.
Yeah, No, that's beautiful. So when this song came to you, or as you put it, came through you, did it just kind of show up? Did you have to work with it? Did you revise it, or was it just there?
I think just the straight up melody came through pretty quick. I think that one just came through pretty quick. And then I had some harmonies, but we didn't sing those that first time. It was like, we're going to keep this simple.
Yeah.
And then eventually I ended up feeling like those harmonies were kind of boring, and heard some other ones that are the ones that I've been sharing now. Yeah, so that is sort of like what lives around it is shifting, but that very simple melody and words, those just kind of came through.
Yeah.
I was just hearing from a woman who was heading to Cuba and was going to sing it there, and she was asking about a translation into Spanish. So I was working with a friend of mine who's a native Spanish speaker, and we were working on a translation for that also. That's still, that one sort of landed, but in any way, it feels like the life around it is shifting, but that little seed is pretty steady.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this just feels like such a privilege to be talking with you about this song. This song right now is in the process of sort of becoming something that you probably could never have envisioned, or, you can't plan these things, but this song has kind of become the song in many ways of a movement of resistance and resilience and hope and defiance. All those things. And so as a songwriter myself, I'm always analyzing songs and trying to figure out, what made it work, what doesn't. A lot of it is just good old magic and things that are beyond being able to describe conceptually or verbally at all. And I love your notion of them being spells in a very beautiful, healthy sense. But you craft-wise did something, like you said, okay, if this is going to catch on in a crowd and not require notation, right, it has to be immediately accessible and simple enough that people can pick it right up. But then the idea in the lyrics and the beauty of the melody also have to be, strong enough, deep enough to, as Ivan put it, and I got this from my friend Christopher Grundy, who got it from somebody else, but bear the weight of repetition. And if you're going to repeat something many times, the idea has to be deep enough and layered enough that you can sing it 10 times in a row and hear and feel and experience something different each time it rolls around. And again, I don't know if you can, it's not the kind of thing you can really make happen. But there are things to do on purpose, as you articulated. Were those crafting things running through you? As someone who's been around community song as long as you have now, you get that sense of what works, what doesn't work. How much of that were you working with as this showed up for you?
I feel like as somebody who's like catching or listening for new songs, it's mostly my job to get out of the way and to not let my brain get in the way. It's like, okay, that's going to come through. I'm just going to let it come through. And then once it comes through, then I'll do some polishing. But if I get in there too soon, then I'm futzing with the message that's trying to come through.
Yep.
So
that's
yeah.
Yeah, no, well said. It's like if you start editing too quickly, you block the flow of what's coming. Right?
Yeah. It feels like if I get to editing too soon, then that's an ego thing, and it's not about me. Like, obviously this song is not about me. This song has work to do, so I had to let it come through, share it, and then get out of the way, and that's the way it feels.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just so beautiful. Wow.
And
yeah. Go ahead.
So, the fact that it's taking off has some to do with the song and some to do with the epic organizing that the Singing Resistance people are doing. They are very strategic about finding songs that are catchy, that are accessible, but then also sharing videos that are showing people that they can be a part of it. Videos that are like, you can join us. videos that
Yes.
show people like mustering their courage and standing together in the face of rising authoritarianism, and they're like, we need each other, and we need you, and you are welcome, and we're going to show you how, and here's how you join up, and here's how you join a singing resistance pod in your town. And so it feels like the song is a piece of it, but then the webs of all the work helping spread it, both in the street, like it was my friend Serena Partridge, who's really embedded in song leading circles in Minneapolis. Her sharing it, there was a lot of people who she knew already who were ready to sing, and that comes from years and years of cultivating song leading circles in the community. So it feels like it's one ingredient in why it's spreading so much.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's so beautifully said, and it's a perfect segue into where I wanted to go. I mean, how did this song find its way into that movement and that moment just recently?
Yeah. Well, Serena and I are dear buddies. We're in a band together, Heartwood Trio, and we travel around teaching songs and performing, and so we know each other's songs very well. And so when Singing Resistance was first coming to be in Minneapolis, they were calling on different song leaders, and she was one of the song leaders. And at first folks were being kind of quiet about should they say their names or not, and then it was like, okay, well, she's quite well known, whatever. She did an amazing interview on Anderson Cooper's podcast called All There Is about community singing and grief, so if anybody wants to see that, it's great. Anyway, so she was already knowing that song, and on this vigil, a walking vigil through the streets of her neighborhood, and folks were singing to their neighbors who were locked inside, to their neighbors who were hiding. And she said she knew people were stuck inside and unable to go to work and unable to go to school, but it wasn't until they were like singing these songs and really saw people like peeking out from behind their curtains and like opening their doors, but well, they're singing for us and taking videos. That's a story that really touched my heart, of her being like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is why we're singing, and this is how the singing is working. So that was like how it first came in, was one of those walking vigils for their neighbors.
Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful. Were you in Minneapolis yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your experience there and how that was for you and what your role was in the midst of that.
It was such a wild time because the trio already had a plan to be there. This was just a couple weeks ago because we were recording the soundtrack album for this musical that we made called The Well Tree, and so we were like super crazy intense focus in this recording studio, like 7 hours a day, figuring out how to record the narration and the cello and the na-na-na-na-na-na of this album, and then at night, we'd be like, okay, where can we go and not blow out our voices but still really be of use? And and it was amazing to be in the hum of all the different ways that people were participating in mutual aid and in rapid response, and just constant communication networks going on. We spent a couple mornings out doing school patrol, standing on the street corner, just being there when the buses arrived, just being a friendly face and keeping an eye on if there were any ICE vehicles around, and then singing for a big fundraiser. That was so exciting. On a Tuesday evening, we were part of a big fundraiser with like 1,500 people or something, and got to sing Hold On as part of that. And neighbors were turning out and raised like $75,000 in one evening of singing, and that was for rent relief, which was awesome to be a part of. And then there's so much going on there that is very inspiring, and just being able to plug in a tiny bit felt like a beautiful and humble way to support this humming network of work that's happening.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Has this song and its notoriety, has it impacted your life directly, or the trajectory of your career, or any of that kind of stuff? And when you getting a lot of people contacting you the way I did, wanting to be in touch with you about this? Yeah,
I definitely. I don't usually do interviews, so this is new.
Well, thank you. You're very good at it. You should do lots of them. Not that I don't like to shoot on people, but you should do lots of interviews. Yeah.
And it's this wild mix of feeling like grateful for the attention. One of the ways that I make a living is that I share songs online through Patreon, this online artist supporting platform.
Yeah.
And that really came to be during COVID when all the singing groups that I was leading had to stop.
Right.
But people wanted to keep singing, so I started sharing music that way, and that has really become the way that I share most songs, recordings. And I've been getting a lot more folks joining me that way who want to hear this song and then hear the other songs that I've written, and that's like, wow, thanks everybody. Hope you like songs about trees and birds, because there's a lot of those.
Who can possibly not like songs about trees and birds? Now, come on. Yeah. No.
But also, it's this, I want to take this moment to be grateful for the support and the resources that are coming to me as a songwriter, and then also to continue to redirect resources and attention towards the movement right now, and towards those rent relief funds, and towards different migrant justice rapid response networks and things like that. So it's this interesting both thank you, yes, my craft is important, and I am part of something where that energy needs to flow in a lot of directions.
Yeah, no, I just love that. And I have so much respect for how you are responding to what's happening in and through your music and your life right now. You just seem so beautifully grounded that accompanies the obvious depth of your gifts also, Heidi. It's just a really beautiful thing to see your music and your outpouring artistically being honored in the ways and received in the ways. And I have a feeling you have a pretty exciting future ahead of you, but you also seem free to wherever it goes, it goes, and you're not attached to any of it, which is why I want to see you succeed, or in whatever that means to you, But are there specific organizations or ways that people can find you and support some of the things that you're excited about that you'd like to specifically mention, or websites or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I would say for anybody who's on Instagram, Singing Resistance is this rippling network of singing groups that are committed to locally based singing actions grounded in love and welcome, and also anti-racist, cosmology. And so it's a very accessible and rooted way to get involved. So I would say look up Singing Resistance, and there's a bunch popping up all over people's different towns and different states.
Yeah. Singing Resistance. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me. Yeah.
On Singing Resistance, they also have a link tree if you click on that, and that has a bunch of specific different rent relief funds in Minneapolis. And I imagine that other Singing Resistance sites are doing similar things, because we're talking about Minneapolis, but obviously it's not just Minneapolis.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So what was it, or what is it about a song when it's time to get out in the streets together? What does a song do in that moment, as far as you're concerned?
I feel like a song can bring us back into our bodies in a way. It's not like a shouty thinky thing, but when we're actually singing together, we are resonating the cells of our bodies and paying attention to somebody else, and we are remembering ourselves as part of something bigger than just our individual voice.
Yeah.
And also, there's all kinds of studies about singing helping process and digest stuck feelings like grief and anxiety and all that stuff. So it can actually help us move through those locked up parts of ourselves that are keeping us afraid and frozen and separate. And it can help us move through that so that we can both feel ourselves as part of something bigger and then have the courage to go forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of what I think it does.
That was so beautifully said. Thank you. Okay, one last question. I don't want to keep you too long, and you've been really generous with your time and energy here. But I knew you. We went to the same church in Madison, Wisconsin, Madison Christian Community. It was a joint ELCA Lutheran Church and UCC Church. And this podcast, is primarily initially goes out to people from that world, church-related music. You have any thoughts or feelings about the songs that churches could be singing at this moment? Anything at all?
Well, there's singing resistance, but then there's also a couple different amazing crews that have been going for a long time. One is Songs in the Key of Resistance. Another is the Peace Poets. And those are groups that have been creating and sort of tending songs for resistance for a long time. And I'd say look into their stuff. That's amazing. And I feel like it's such an interesting balance of like listening and carrying forward the old songs, but also having the humility and the openness to catch the new songs coming through and say, what are the songs for this moment? And I'm sure that there's people in all these different communities that can like clear out enough space to listen for the songs that are coming through right now. And that I think especially if they can like get people off the page and actually together, that's the ticket.
Yes, say just a little bit more about that, getting people off the page. Are you a big proponent of not needing notation or even a screen, as a lot of churches are using that? You feel like there's power in not having to be looking at a screen or a piece of paper in order to get the words and the music?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's accessibility reasons to have those kinds of things, but like beyond that, I took a workshop with this ecumenical organization called Music That Makes Community.
Yeah, Connie Borchardt.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I got to sing with her at that fundraiser. She's great. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned her. Yeah.
That was really helping me realize the power of, like, when we're looking at the page, it's going through our head, and there's also something personal, like individual about it. But when this is gone, it's like the blinders are off, and we can feel ourselves as one important voice in the big whole voice. And it also, to me, feels like then you can let go of what's right. And you can let go of how many times am I supposed to do this? And there's like there's great gifts in writing down music, and there's great gifts in like singing through our ears and our mouths.
Yeah, it's a both and thing, and I get that lots of folks in churches in particular really want and need, for lots of reasons, many of which are good, notation to help people stay together and to be together or to pick something up quickly. But there is a lot of power in those simpler songs that are just immediately accessible. You can hear it once and you've almost got it. And then, as I said, the trick is having the message that you're repeating and the music that you're repeating be substantive enough and deep enough to be worth repeating many times. Well, your beautiful song, Hold On, is certainly one of those. And, I just congratulate you, but really, I just want to thank you for being the vessel and the vehicle that you are. Just having spoken to you a little bit, it is understandable to me why the big love, God, whatever you want to call it, would gift the world with a song like that through you. Because you were willing to get out of the way, and you've done your work, you've done your homework, you've honed your craft and your gift such that you were ready to receive that. So I just want to say a huge thank you on behalf of all of us for being a vessel through which that kind of gift can come to the world. It's a sacred and a holy thing, and we're really grateful.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot with anything else, but I'm just so deeply grateful. And again, is there a specific website that you would want people who want to be in touch with you or find out more about your music you want to send people toward?
Sure. You can look up, I have just a regular website, HeidiAnnWilson.com. And from that, you can go to my Patreon site or just email me or be in touch. That's
Yeah,
probably
and
the
that
easiest
was
way.
Heidi Ann, A-N-N?
Yes, right.
Yeah,
No E.
Heidi.
Thank you for that.
Okay, all right. Too many Anns in the world. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so many
Yeah,
Anns.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
not enough, but you know what I mean. Lots of spellings of Ann. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, Heidi, thank you so much, and
Thank
we're
you,
really
Brian.
really grateful. Okay.
Thanks for
All right.
asking and for your questions and for all the ways that you tend music in the world.
You bet. Thanks again. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dream God's dream. Holy Spirit, help us dream. Dream God's dream. Holy Spirit, help us dream of a world where there is justice and where everyone is free.